Alright guys, so we're back with the 1970 Pontiac LeMans with the Pontiac 350 engine. So last video we just had got this thing in, and we were just kind of digging through it and just looking to see what we need to do to get it running. We got a lot of parts for it to get it running with, just to see how good this engine's gonna run, if it's worth keeping in here or pulling out. So what I'm going to do is pull all these spark plugs out. I want to look at them, and maybe we can tell if this thing was running and fouling plugs, burning oil, because we got new plugs for it anyway. I went ahead and removed the AC compressor because it was in the way. So we're going to remove all the plugs, and then we're going to put the new plugs in. And what we could do then is start working on changing the oil, because the oil is black. We got to do the ignition system, which is the points, put a battery in it, which we got a new battery. Actually, the oil is really low. There ain't no oil in it. That's a bad sign. So we'll drain out what's left, and we'll do the ignition system, put the new distributor cap, rotor button. I think we got new points for it. Spark plug wires. Right now we really don't have to worry about putting a water pump on. We're gonna hold off on that. We just want to basically see if it's going to run, and I got to get up under there and cut the exhaust because it's bent on one side, almost closed, and the other side is I think it's bent on both sides, so I need to cut that. It's going to be loud, so I'm going to go ahead and pull all these plugs out, and then we'll worry about the other stuff when we get to it. So I was pulling the plugs out, and I found out that this side here has all new spark plugs in it. I mean, so I guess they had replaced them. Maybe they were going to do a tune-up on the car. That's why it's missing the plug wires and the distributor cap. But all these plugs are brand new. So I'm really thinking that all the plugs on this side is going to be brand new too. So I think they're all AC Delcos. Yep, AC Delco. Just got rust right where the spark plug wire goes. But you see those plugs are new, so I'm just gonna put those back in, and we'll move along to getting the new points and distributor cap on with the wires, and then I get up under there and change the oil. So I got the distributor all set up for the distributor cap. I cleaned the points that's in there. They didn't look too bad. We got a new set, but I just went ahead and cleaned them anyway. Made sure it's top dead center. So now what I'm doing is gonna change the oil, and I got ready to pull the oil filter off, and somebody had been down there, couldn't get it off, and they took a screwdriver or something and poked in it. That's one of those old Fram filters. I don't like Fram filters. I know a lot of people don't like using them. Something about the inside of them will collapse, stop oil flow. But this is an old filter, and that's why I didn't have any oil in it. I guess they drained the oil, was going to change the filter, and couldn't get it off. So I just took my oil filter wrench and just started working it down here in the grip part, and it was on there tight. I can only get it to turn just not even a quarter of a turn. Finally got it off. The seal is completely flat, so it was like baked onto the engine. And so I guess while I'm down here, I'm going going to cut the exhaust. You can see that pipe right here is completely smushed, and the other one is hanging, and this smush going up to the manifold is hard to see over here. But I'm gonna take my saw and just cut it right at that elbow right there. Just cut it off there and cut it off both sides, so it's gonna be loud. But I'm gonna get the new oil filter on. It's not showing oil on the dipstick, so I'm going to take it out anyway, the drain plug, make sure there ain't nothing left over, which I don't think it is. Put new oil. Look like somebody put new wheel cylinders on it, because that bleeder screw there looks new. That don't look original. And the master cylinder looks like somebody had changed it. So I don't know if the guy who was originally working on it did it. Let me get up. Or the person who owned it originally did it. But you see that master cylinder, that's not an original master cylinder. The top looks fairly clean. I haven't had it off yet. So maybe we'll get lucky on the brakes. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some oil in it, cut the exhaust pipe, and let's see. Yeah, it's smushed back there. I'm just gonna cut it off right at that elbow, and yeah. So while it's in the air, I'll knock out that, and we'll move on to getting a battery in it and spin it over, see if we got any fire to the points, and if we do, we'll put the cap back on, and we'll put the spark plug wires. Then we'll move on to putting the carburetor on it, 2-barrel, and I know the gas tank's no good, so probably gonna disconnect the fuel hose. It's hard to see. The fuel hose where it goes to the back, just gonna cut it, and we'll just run like an electric fuel pump to the carburetor. We got a new gas tank for it, so we're here in the box. So got a new gas tank from Original Parts Group. We got a new radiator shroud. We got a radiator here somewhere. Aluminum radiator. There's spark plug wire. So we got a lot of new parts for it, just to see what it run. Hopefully it does. Won't have to pull it out. Hopefully. So let me get back to work. So I got the exhaust cut away from up under it. It didn't have any oil in it, so I believe they drained it. That's why the oil filter was sliced, like somebody was trying to get it off. But I got ready to put oil in it and found a lot of sludge buildup. Inside of there. So either they was running Quaker State oil or just wasn't changing the oil at all. So it's a lot of sludge in there. I mean, don't necessarily mean that the motor not run good, but they were running some kind of bad oil. Like I said, they wasn't maintaining the oil changes. So we're gonna dump some oil in anyway. I gotta hook up my little starter button here, starter trigger, and I gotta put number 1 spark plug back in, and I'm going to put the distributor cap rotor button back on, and I think this is the hot cable. Still got the side post, which sucked. I don't know why GM made that. There's the side post cables. I got to make sure I got voltage going to the points, but we'll figure all that out once we get the battery in. But so I'm gonna go ahead and put the oil in there, dress up the spark plug wires and stuff, and we'll put a battery on it. I gotta see if I can find some side post to top post adapters. I don't think the battery got, is it a side post? Oh, the battery we got is a top post only. So I gotta find some of those things so we can change it back to top post. So that might be either run to the parts store, which is too late, or have to rig up something. I don't have a side post battery, but we'll go from there. Alright, so I got the oil changed. I got the exhaust cut off, the pipes that were all bent up and closed off. And I jumped up top again and I got my starter trigger hooked up. I started working on the ignition system. Now this thing had the distributor halfway pulled out of it. I guess they were going to change it out or something. I don't know why, but we're going to use this distributor, the points distributor. So I just got it top dead center and put it back down in there. Swapped out the points. This is the old ignition points. I mean, they're rusted up. So I got a new set of points in it. I didn't notice it didn't have an ignition coil, so I found an ignition coil I had laying around on the bracket. And I got the points all wired up. And we got fire. I got to do something about the starter. It drags really bad, but let me turn this light off. See it firing. I don't know if you can see that. Starter sounds horrible. I hope it's the starter, not the engine. I don't know if you can see it. This light's so bright in here, but we got fire. So I'm gonna remount that coil. That's not where the coil originally goes. It's supposed to go on this side of the block and stand straight up, kind of at an angle somewhere in here. So I'm gonna remount that, do a little bit better wiring cleanup here, and put the rotor button, distributor cap back on, and hopefully it turns over fast enough to fire it up. The starter, when I first tried it, it just clicked and then it slowly started working. So we might have to swap that out. But right now, I'm gonna get the ignition system all buttoned up, and then we'll move on to putting the carburetor on it and running some fuel line to it, and we'll see what it does. So hopefully this engine's savable and we won't have to pull it. Just, you know, clean it up. It can be cleaned up and painted, I guess, unless, you know, if he wants to pull it and dress it up some, but that'll be totally up to him. But anyway, let me get the ignition system finished, and we will move on to the fuel system. So the old starter finally took a dump. I was able to get it out, and this thing looks like it's been at the bottom of the ocean. Really dirty. And you can see right at the nose that the bushing has walked out of there. So he was dragging really bad. You can see down in there. A lot of rust. Why did GM make a starter so big and heavy? It's ridiculous. I mean, this starter is about the size of an 18-wheeler starter almost. So I'm gonna go down to the local parts store and grab a new one. They wanted this one for a core. They can have it. Big old boat anchor. Made it back from the parts store, And we got a brand new starter. Brand new. Been triple tested, as it says. So we'll get that heavy thing in there, and hopefully it'll whirl over faster than it was, and that'll get it close to running. Alright, got the new starter in. Got the starter trigger hooked up. Let's see how fast it turns over now. Hopefully we get more speed out of it, because that starter is pretty heavy. It's better than what it was anyway. Might have to put a little charge on that battery, but because that other starter, it drug it down. But it does spin over better. I put the shims that came off the old starter back in there. It was just 2, and the new starter came with a couple of shims. I don't know if it'd be anything to slide an extra shim in there. I mean, it sounds pretty good. Maybe one small shim. You don't want it too far away from the flywheel, because then it start grinding. But I might throw one of those little shims in there and see how it sounds, and let it down, and then we'll move on to putting the carburetor on. Alright, so here it is. We got our aftermarket, probably Amazon 2-barrel carburetor. So it's just like the carburetor that was on the car from the factory, just an aftermarket one. We got the little gaskets, spacer plate gasket. I'm guessing that's a thermostat housing gasket. Yeah, thermostat housing. And the little gasket that goes on top of the carburetor for the air cleaner. So this thing has got a vacuum or heated choke. I think it's heated. It's a heated choke. So this little metal tube here, it's got a little piece of hose, and it goes over that little tube slides in there. Put a piece of hose over it. It's got a bunch of vacuum ports. I'm gonna have to plug off all of those. One of them should be for the distributor. The other ones is probably for something else, like your heater control, vacuum, solenoids up on the dash. This don't have power brakes. So it don't have power brakes, so you don't need a tube for that. This will go to, I'm thinking, the EGR valve. No? Goes to something. We'll block it off. Anyway, 2-barrel, cheap carburetor, brand new. So I'm gonna get that installed on there, and then we'll move on to fuel lines. Alright, so I got an electric fuel pump hooked up. We got us a gas bottle hooked up. Carburetor's all hooked up. Got the new starter on, all the spark plug wires. Of course, it had new spark plugs in it. So hopefully this thing will fire up. So I am going to put some gas in it, hook up the electric fuel pump, and hope for the best. Like I said, this thing's been sitting forever. I don't know how long it sat before we got it, and the motor is a mystery. So let me get a funnel and some gas. Hopefully the timing's right, and we don't have any ignition issues. I put like 3 quarts of transmission fluid in it because it wasn't showing any on the stick. So hopefully this thing fire right up and run like a sewing machine. Very loud. Okay, here we go. I guess I need to get something to spray the carburetor. I got the rear end jacked up because I seen a video. I seen a video on Instagram. A guy cranked up a four-wheel drive truck, and he had the ladder up against the front cap, and he was leaning over in the engine, standing on the ladder. And there was another guy. One of them hit the start, and that sucker was in gear, and they didn't know it, and it took off out the shop and ripped down the door. And I thought about that with this car. So, contact. Oh, gotta hook up the clickety-clack. Almost. Contact. No. Gotta hook up a clickety-clack. So I had to shut it down. That fuel pump is leaking really bad over here on the manifold. So I'm gonna have to swap out fuel pumps because we'll have a fire. So I got another fuel pump. It sounds pretty good though. Got a lot of smoke. Of course, that's all the oil and stuff I put in the cylinders, and it's got to burn all that out. But I'm gonna have to swap fuel pumps right fast. The old clickety-clack fuel pump is now garbage. Luckily I got another one. But like I said, I didn't hear any knocks or anything, a lot of smoke. Of course, it don't have the exhaust on it, so we don't know what kind of engine noises it's really got. But didn't take long to crank up. I think this fuel pump is leaking around the housing part where the metal's pressed together, because it's like leaking somewhere in here where they crimped it. So I'm gonna have to round up another fuel pump. A lot of smoke. A lot of smoke. First it didn't look that bad. And then I turned around, I was like, holy. Let's see, where's the other fuel pumps at? So I got this fuel pump here. It's a low pressure pump. Guess we can just let's see. That's out. So fuel needs to go that way. So I have to switch ends. Hopefully I don't have to switch fuel line. Probably have to, because I think one side is a 1/4 inch. I'm going to have to add a ground wire onto it. Because, well, that's too good. Let me get the fitting off the other one. I think this is a good fuel pump. It looks brand new. Now I just got to run the ground wire to the motor again. It was so smoky I didn't even see it leaking. That would have been a fire right there. But it's not running straight off the manifolds. It's got the rest of the exhaust pipe cut off where it goes to the back. So I didn't have to worry about it backfiring and down with the manifolds. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna hook this back up. Hopefully this fuel pump lasts. I have to tape it together there. Can't run it too terribly low because we don't have any coolant in it, and I need to check the transmission fluid. I put some in there, but it's just enough so the pump won't run dry. Alright, let's turn the gas on. And let's try it again. I think we're out of gas. Yeah. We're out of gas. Well, sounds pretty good. Make sure I ain't got no transmission fluid pouring out the bottom of it. I'm gonna have to add some. Oh yeah, she drunk that. She drunk all that gas. Starting to calm down, smoking a little bit. But the good thing is running it with no coolant, you get that block nice and warm. If you got any rings that's like sticking, the heat will help unseize those rings around the pistons. But you don't want to run it too long, because then you'll mess up the engine. I'm almost out of gas. I have to go down and get some more. Actually, this is 2-cycle gas that I had mixed for the leaf blower, so that helped lube the top end a little bit. Let's fire it up one more time. We got a brand new water pump for it, so we can put that on and put the radiator in it. So let's get some gas going. I heard it go in the car at that time. All right, don't want it to get too hot, just a little heat, not too much. So it runs, it really runs. Like I said, we got some smokage in here. That's just because like I said, I put all that oil in the cylinders to unstick some of the ringage. But yeah, it don't sound bad. I don't hear any knocking or anything. But without having exhaust, it's hard to tell. So the next step is going to be, like I said, getting the new water pump on it and getting the radiator in there, so that way if we get the radiator in there, we can put some coolant in it with the new water pump and really run it, and then we can see what go in gear. Now I got steering column supposed to be coming for it, so he's supposed to drop that off sometime today, because we got to put a new steering column in it, because the steering shaft where the steering wheel goes is stripped off. Somebody put some vice grips or something on there, strip that off real nice. So, and the key switch won't turn off either. So we get the new steering column, a new used steering column, and we'll put that in there. Then we'll be able to check the brakes, which I think somebody has done the brakes. Either the guy that had it, that he was gonna get it going for him. I think he put wheel cylinders on the front. There's a new master cylinder over there in the box, and there's some more wheel cylinders in the box. This thing has got drum brakes all the way around. So it having drum brakes, it needs all 4 wheel cylinders. So I'm gonna let it cool down, and then I guess we'll move on putting the water pump. I think we got new hoses. These heater hoses here have seen better days. We'll probably just block off the heater core, because I don't know if it's gonna leak or not. But we'll get the new water pump, radiator, fan back on. We got new belts, and I wish I can rig up some kind of exhaust on it, so that way it'll be a little quieter. We can hear if the engine's got any ticks or knocks. Probably we'll hook up a manual oil pressure gauge pretty soon to see if it's got any oil pressure. That's another thing. Don't want to be running it with a low oil pressure, but like I said, it had to cool off to do that, because the oil pressure sending unit is over there behind the oil filter. It screws right on the back of the oil filter housing. So I have to rig up a manual oil pressure gauge, and probably a manual temperature gauge too. But for right now, I'm gonna let it cool off. We'll see about getting the water pump and all that stuff on there. At least we know it runs, and it sounds like it's got power. So I was going to attempt to put the water pump on, and I found out that it had some bolts that were really rusty. I tried to heat up a couple of them, and they just broke off. So we're gonna have to just let it soak with some PB Blaster. We'll have to keep just letting it soak, heat it up, let it cool off, try and get those bolts loose. I did find out that the water pump that we got for the car is not the correct water pump. So we're gonna have to send that water pump back and get the correct one, and no one in town has one. So it's just playing the wait game on parts. Plus I got some other stuff going on too. So as soon as I get all that taken care of, y'all will see it, and we'll get this thing running. We got to do the exhaust, we got to do the fuel system still, and we got to do the brakes, and hopefully the transmission shifts out and things like that. So y'all just keep those notifications on if you got them on. If you ain't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and leave some comments. And you can also check out the Instagram page, RPM Auto. I think it's RPM Auto 4 on Instagram. And also you can check out RPM Auto Motor on Facebook. Got a Facebook group page. I'll be posting stuff on there. Also, shoot an email to rpmauto780@yahoo.com. Any questions, anything you want to get rid of, or anything. So anyway, that's gonna be it for now. So as soon as we get some more stuff going, y'all be the first to know. Y'all take it easy. Be safe out there. We'll holler at y'all later.